I overheard my stepmom and stepsister scheming to cut me out of my dad's inheritance. So, I packed my bags, moved out, and spent the past year struggling on my own. Now my dad knows the truth, and everything's changed. I'm 23, and for the last 5 years, I'd been living with my dad, his new wife Donna, and her daughter Maria. My mom passed away when I was 16, and within a year, Dad had remarried. It all happened fast. Suddenly, I had a stepmother trying too hard to play loving mom, and a stepsister, 2 years younger than me, who was polite but kept her distance. I figured the awkwardness was just part of blending families and tried to give it time. After Mom died, my dad buried himself in work. That didn't change after he remarried. He runs a successful business and is usually either traveling or working late. That left me alone with Donna and Maria most of the time, which was fine at first. When Dad was home, we'd do the typical family dinner thing. It all looked normal from the outside. I stayed local for college and came home on weekends and holidays. After graduating, I moved back in while I searched for a job in my field. That's when the vibe in the house shifted. Donna started making passive-aggressive comments about how I should be out on my own by now. Maria had just finished school too and moved back in around the same time, and the house suddenly felt crowded and tense. I'd been applying to jobs and going to interviews for months. It hasn't been easy, but I was trying. Dad was supportive. He told me not to rush, to wait for the right opportunity. Donna, on the other hand, got more vocal about me needing to move on. Then, everything cracked. Last week, I was in my room with the doors shut when I heard Donna and Maria talking just outside in the hallway. They must have thought I wasn't home, because they weren't bothering to lower their voices. Donna was saying they needed to get me out before the will was finalized. Maria agreed, saying they couldn't risk me getting an equal share. I sat there frozen. It was obvious they were talking about me. They started brainstorming ways to convince my dad to kick me out. Donna suggested cutting off my access to the family car so I couldn't get to interviews. Maria joked about, accidentally, breaking my laptop to stop me from applying to jobs. Then they went on, talking about how much money they'd get if I was out of the picture, fantasizing about vacations and shopping sprees. It was like listening to villains in a bad movie, except this was real. When they finally walked away, I just sat there, numb. These were people I'd lived with for years. People I trusted. And now I knew they saw me as nothing but a problem to eliminate. The days that followed were a blur. I tried to keep up the act, but I could barely look them in the eye. Every conversation felt fake. Every smile from them looked like a mask. I caught them watching me sometimes, whispering, their eyes sharp and cold. I wanted to tell my dad. But I hesitated. He seemed happy with Donna, and I didn't want to be the one to destroy that. I had no proof. Just my word against theirs. I didn't know if my dad would believe me, or worse, if he'd take their side, so I stayed quiet and started working on an exit plan. I messaged a few friends to see if anyone needed a roommate, and started applying for jobs I'd previously overlooked, anything that would get me out of that house. Then, a week after I overheard them plotting, I caught a break. A friend of a friend was heading abroad for 6 months and needed someone to sublet their apartment. It wasn't cheap, but with some help from my savings, I could just about swing it. I didn't hesitate, I said yes. When I told my dad I was moving out, he seemed surprised but was supportive as always. Donna and Maria, though? They could barely contain their excitement. They helped me pack, but I could feel the smugness radiating off them, sharing looks whenever they thought I wasn't watching. On my way out, I overheard them again, this time discussing how to make sure Dad didn't alter his will now that I was out of the picture. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about making the house less crowded. They wanted me gone, completely. I've been in my new place for about a month now. It's small, not in the best neighborhood, but it's mine. I'm still looking for full-time work and taking on gig jobs to keep myself afloat. It's not glamorous, but at least I'm not living with people who treat me like a threat to their future bank account. Dad checks in with me every few days, asking how I'm doing, wondering why I haven't been around much. I dodge the questions, blaming the job hunt and trying to settle into my new place. I can hear the concern in his voice, but I'm not ready to tell him the truth. Not yet. I've considered getting legal advice, maybe trying to secure whatever inheritance might have been meant for me. But honestly, I don't care about the money. What really stings is realizing that the people I lived with for years, people I once called family, never saw me as anything more than a hurdle in their way. Some nights, I lie awake wondering if Mom would be disappointed in me for not standing up for myself more. But then I remember what she used to say, that family isn't defined by blood or paperwork, but by love. And by that measure, Donna and Maria were never my family to begin with. I don't know what's next. Part of me wants to confront them, to call them out, and watch their lies crumble. But another part just wants to leave it all behind and never look back. For now, I'm putting my energy into building something of my own, something that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval or inheritance. Just last week, I landed a job. It's entry level, and the pay's not amazing, but it's a start. I haven't told Dad yet. Honestly, I don't want Donna or Maria to know anything about what I'm doing. The less they know, the less power they have. I also started therapy, cheap, bare-bones sessions, but it's helping. Slowly. My therapist suggested I write letters to Donna and Maria, not to send, just to get the words out. I've filled notebooks with things I've never said out loud. Things I probably never will. Lately, I've been dreaming about Mom. In those dreams, she's always smiling, telling me she's proud. I wake up with this strange blend of peace and grief. I miss her more than ever. I wish I had her here to talk to help me through all this. I've even thought about reaching out to her side of the family. After she passed, we lost touch. It was too painful for all of us, I think. But now, I feel this need for connection, real connection. Maybe it's time to reach out and rebuild those bridges. The days are starting to take shape, work, home, repeat. It's not thrilling, but it's stable. I'm carving out a life that's mine, one that doesn't involve Donna, Maria, or the weight of any inheritance. Dad's birthday is next month. There's a family dinner planned. Part of me wants to go, just to see him and celebrate. But the thought of sitting at the same table as them, Donna and Maria pretending like nothing ever happened, makes my skin crawl. Their forced smiles, their cheerful small talk, it all feels like a cruel joke. To cope, I've started volunteering at a local youth center on weekends. A lot of the kids there come from fractured families or have lost someone close to them. I get it in a way I never did before. Being able to help them work through their anger and grief has been unexpectedly healing for me too. Like maybe I'm finally turning some of this pain into something useful. Sometimes I wonder what story Donna and Maria tell people about why I left. Do they cast me as the bitter stepson who couldn't accept change? Do they pretend I vanished on my own? Or worse, do they act like I never existed at all? I try not to dwell on it, but the questions creep in when things go quiet. The upside of starting fresh is the new friendships I've made, at work, through volunteering, people who know me as I am now, not through the lens of family drama or inheritance talk. These connections feel real, honest. It's refreshing, after everything. But not all reminders of the past are avoidable. I ran into Maria the other day at the grocery store. It was tense and uncomfortable. She played the part of the concerned stepsister, asking about my job and my apartment like nothing had ever happened. I kept my responses short and got out of there as fast as I could. I felt shaken for days afterward, like I'd been forced to reopen a wound that was just starting to heal. Lately, I've been thinking more seriously about the future. Do I stay in this city, constantly at risk of running into Donna or Maria again? Or do I leave, wipe the slate clean and go somewhere I can truly start over? The idea is tempting, but the thought of putting even more distance between my dad and me stops me in my tracks. My lease is almost up, and with it comes a big decision. Do I stay, move somewhere better, or start over entirely? I'm tired of packing and adjusting, but I'm also tired of squeezing my life into a tiny apartment that barely feels like a home. It's just another reminder of how different things have become in such a short time. On a lighter note, I've started dating again, nothing serious, just a few casual dinners and coffee meetups. It's been nice, though I find myself guarded, constantly second-guessing people's motives. My therapist says it's normal after everything I've been through, that trust takes time to rebuild. She's probably right. Work's been going better than expected. I got a small promotion recently, and while it's not life-changing, it's helped ease some of the financial stress. For the first time in months, I'm not dipping into my savings to cover rent. It's a small win, but it feels massive to me. I still haven't told Dad what I overheard. Every time I come close, I freeze. What if he doesn't believe me? What if it drives a wedge between us that we can't come back from? The thought of losing him too, it's just too much. Sometimes, in my darker moments, I feel angry at my mom. For leaving. For dying. I know it's not fair, she didn't choose this, but the feeling hits me anyway. If she were still here, none of this would be happening. I'd still have a real home. A family. A sense of safety. I try to let the thought pass, but it lingers like smoke in the air. I've picked up cooking lately, not by choice really, but out of necessity. I was useless in the kitchen when I lived at home, but now I'm figuring it out. There's something surprisingly comforting about it. Feeding myself, creating something from scratch, it's a small, tangible reminder that I'm taking care of myself, on my own terms. The holidays are coming up, and with them, a wave of anxiety. Do I go back for Christmas? Do I pretend to be sick? Make up work obligations. The idea of sitting through forced smiles and polite lies over dinner makes my stomach twist. But spending the holidays alone, that's not much better. Sleep's been a struggle lately. I lie awake at night, replaying that conversation I overheard over and over, wondering how I missed the signs, how long they'd been planning it. My mind won't shut off. It's like my brain refuses to rest until it's picked apart every memory. Sometimes I think about confronting them, telling them I know everything, making them squirm. But what would it solve? They'd lie. Deny it. Twist the narrative. And if it got back to Dad, it might only cause more damage. Some days I manage fine. I go to work, I eat, I sleep, life goes on. Other days, the weight of it all feels unbearable. On the bad days, the weight of everything that's happened feels unbearable. It flattens me, keeps me in bed long after my alarm goes off, makes the world outside feel cold and unfamiliar. The hardest part isn't even what they did, it's that they were supposed to be my family. They were supposed to care. To cope, I've started keeping a journal. Each night, I write down whatever's circling in my head, no matter how messy, no matter how raw. It's not magic, but it helps. Maybe someday I'll flip back through those pages and see a clear path, see how far I've come. For now, they're a quiet record of all the days I've survived, even the ones I didn't think I could. It's been nearly 6 months since I moved out, and I find myself reflecting a lot. I'm not the same person I was when I first overheard Donna and Maria whispering like I was already gone. I've toughened up in some ways, softened in others. I've learned how to keep moving forward even when the ground doesn't feel steady. I've learned that building a life, really building one, means doing it without leaning too heavily on anyone else's promises. I don't know what's next. I still haven't decided if I'll ever confront them, or tell my dad the truth. I don't know if I'll ever fully trust someone again. But for now, I'm just taking things one day at a time. It's not perfect. It's not the life I imagined. But it's mine. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. Update 1. It's been a year since I left my dad's house, since I overheard the kind of betrayal you can't unhear. A lot's changed since then, and not everything's been for the better. I'm sorry it's taken me this long to post an update. Between work, therapy, and trying not to drown in it all, I haven't had much time or energy to write. Sitting down to share this now is something I've had to force myself to do. But I know a lot of you reached out after my first post, and your kindness helped carry me through some of the darkest days. I read every comment, even if I didn't have the capacity to reply. Thank you for showing me I wasn't crazy or alone. So, here's where things stand now. I'm still working the same job I found right after moving out. It's fine. Not great, not terrible. The pay barely covers my bills, and I'm constantly scanning job boards, hoping for something better. But the market's brutal. Every rejection feels personal, like the universe reminding me I'm still stuck, still trying to claw my way toward stability. My relationship with Dad has grown distant. I've been avoiding family get-togethers, dodging phone calls, making up excuses. He's noticed, of course. Lately, he's been calling more often, his voice lined with concern I can't bring myself to soothe. I hate lying, but the truth still feels too dangerous. I did go to his birthday dinner a few months back. It was every bit as awkward as I feared. Donna and Maria put on a masterclass in artificial warmth, smiling, laughing, asking questions about my job and my apartment with the kind of fake interest that makes your skin crawl. I could practically see the gears turning in their heads, trying to gauge how close I was to giving up and fading out of the picture for good. I made an excuse and left early, pretending I had an early shift the next morning. The holidays were worse. I told Dad I had to work Christmas Day. I didn't. I spent it alone in my apartment with a microwave dinner and a stack of old movies, trying to drown out the silence. It was bleak. But at least I didn't have to pretend. I've been thinking more seriously about telling Dad the truth. Every time I get close, I pull back. What if he doesn't believe me? What if it breaks something between us that can't be fixed? And worst of all, what if he does believe me, but still chooses to stay with Donna anyway? I don't know if I could handle that kind of rejection, not from him. Therapy's been helping, slowly. The progress is real, but glacial. Most days it feels like I'm taking 1 step forward, 2 steps back. My therapist keeps reminding me that healing isn't linear, That betrayal takes time to uncoil inside you. But I'm tired of feeling like I'm stuck in the same place. I've had a few more awkward run-ins with Maria. She always acts like nothing happened, like we're still family, like I didn't hear her plotting to erase me. Her smile makes my skin crawl. I've started avoiding certain stores, certain routes, just to lessen the chances of bumping into her or Donna. It feels small and ridiculous, but I need to protect my peace wherever I can find it. The youth center is still the one part of my life that feels solid. I've grown especially close to one of the teens there, Alex. He lost his mom last year, and there's a quiet grief in him that reminds me of my own. Helping him through his pain has helped me through mine too. It's one of the few things that makes me feel like I'm doing something meaningful. Dating hasn't been great. I've tried a few times, but I keep hitting the same wall. I can't let people in. I'm always bracing for the moment they decide I'm too much, too broken. My last date actually said it, that I had too much baggage. She's probably not wrong, but hearing it out loud still stung. My lease is up next month, and the idea of moving again makes me want to crawl into bed and hide. But this apartment, with its paper-thin walls and fickle heating, feels more like a holding cell than a home. I've started looking at other neighborhoods. Even a few listings in the next city over. A clean slate sounds appealing, but I'm torn. I'm not ready to be too far from Dad, not yet. I did something big recently. I reached out to my mom's sister, Aunt Sarah. We hadn't spoken since Mom's funeral. At first, it was stilted and strange, like trying to speak a language I hadn't used in years. But something shifted. Talking to her was like finding a missing piece of myself. She invited me to visit for a weekend. I'm thinking about going. The idea of explaining everything is daunting, but maybe she could help me carry some of this weight. Work has gotten more stressful. There are whispers about layoffs, and being one of the newer hires puts a target on my back. I'm terrified of losing my job. I barely have enough saved to make it a month or two if things go south. The fear creeps into my dreams. I've started having nightmares about losing my apartment, about ending up back in that house with Donna and Maria, forced to smile and pretend. I wake up drenched in sweat, heart hammering, and it takes hours to feel normal again. My birthday passed quietly this year. Dad called, of course. A few friends took me out for drinks. But the whole thing felt hollow. I couldn't stop thinking about the way birthdays used to be: balloons, cake, Mom's hugs, her laugh echoing through the kitchen. Now everything feels quieter, smaller. Dimmed. Lately, I find myself talking to a photo of Mom. Telling her what's been going on. Asking for advice I'll never get. Maybe it's childish, maybe it's grief. But it helps somehow. Like she's still listening. The anger toward Donna and Maria hasn't dulled. If anything, it's sharper. I daydream about confronting them, imagining them finally owning up to everything, Dad finally seeing through them. But those are just fantasies, and I know it. Still, I've started looking into legal options. I met with a lawyer who specializes in estate law. He told me, without solid proof, there's not much I can do. He suggested asking Dad to set up a trust if I'm worried. But that would mean spilling everything. I'm not ready. Not yet. The stress is catching up to me. I've lost weight. I'm always tired. My doctor says my blood pressure's high, and I need to find ways to relax. I laughed when she said it. Relaxing feels like a luxury I can't afford. Sometimes, I think about disappearing entirely. Moving to a new city. Starting over. No Donna. No Maria. No memories lurking in grocery store aisles. But then I think about Dad, how he'd worry, how he might not understand. I don't want to disappear from his life. I just want my own. And yet, in all of this darkness, there have been flickers of light. A few good friends. People who see me for who I am, not for the family I came from or the money I might inherit. That matters more than I can say. I've picked up some new hobbies. Started teaching myself guitar. I'm terrible, but it's something to focus on. Something that feels like mine. I've also taken up running. At first, it was just a way to escape my apartment. But I've grown to love it. The rhythm, the breath, the way the world falls away for a while. There's something freeing about pushing my body to its limits, about letting the pavement eat up my worries one step at a time. For a little while, when I run, I forget. I forget the betrayal, the loneliness, the weight of everything I've been carrying. It's just me, my breath, and the sound of my feet hitting the ground. It's the closest thing I've found to peace. As the one-year mark of moving out crept closer, so did a gnawing anxiety. It felt like I should be further along, more stable, more healed. Like I should have something to show for the past 12 months besides stress weight and half-played chords on a second-hand guitar. My therapist says I'm being too hard on myself, that healing doesn't follow a timeline. I'm trying to believe her. Some days I almost do. Visiting Aunt Sarah turned out to be more meaningful than I expected. Her home was warm and chaotic and full of laughter. It smelled like cinnamon and childhood. Being around people who knew my mom, who really knew her, was like touching a part of myself I thought I'd lost forever. They told stories I'd never heard. For one beautiful weekend, I felt like I belonged again. But coming back to my empty apartment after that visit hit harder than I imagined. The silence was louder. The space colder. Aunt Sarah had asked about Dad during my stay, how he was adjusting, how things were with his new wife. I froze. The words caught in my throat. She noticed, of course. Gently nudged. Eventually it all came tumbling out. She was livid. She wanted to call Dad right then and there, to rip into Donna and Maria with the full force of her fury. I had to talk her down, explain why I hadn't told him yet. She didn't agree, but she respected my choice. Before I left, she hugged me so tightly it nearly broke me and made me promise to stay in touch. She calls often now. Just to check in. To remind me I'm not alone. She even offered a place to stay if things ever get too hard. I haven't taken her up on it, not yet, but knowing it's there makes me breathe a little easier. Then, last week, everything changed. Dad showed up at my apartment. No warning, just knocked on the door looking like he hadn't slept in days. He said he couldn't take the distance between us anymore, that he needed to understand what had happened. I tried to brush it off, to dodge, but he wasn't letting it go. So I told him. Everything. The conversation I overheard. The fear. The avoidance. The way I've been living with this weight, scared to tell him and terrified not to. The words poured out of me, messy and raw, like a dam breaking. He didn't interrupt once. When I finally stopped, he was quiet. His face looked older somehow. Tired. He didn't say he believed me, not directly, but he didn't brush it off either. He said he'd had no idea, that he'd clearly missed something big in his own house. He promised to start paying attention. Said he'd talk to his lawyer about making sure my inheritance was protected, no matter what happened in his marriage. I felt lighter after that conversation. Like I could finally stand up straight. But also guilty. Guilty for shaking up his life. For planting doubt in his marriage. Dad told me I did the right thing. That he needed to know. But I saw the storm in his eyes. It's been a week, and I haven't heard much from him since. Just a short text saying he was looking into things, and would be in touch soon. I'm trying not to spiral, trying not to assume the worst, but the silence is loud. Then Donna called me yesterday. Her voice was all sugary sweetness as she invited me to Sunday dinner. I declined, claiming I had work. I could practically feel her fishing for information through the phone, trying to gauge whether Dad and I had spoken. The thought makes me queasy. Now I'm standing at a crossroads. Do I stay here, close to Dad, close to whatever comes next, but also in the same city as Donna and Maria? Or do I take Aunt Sarah up on her offer? Leave this place behind and start fresh somewhere new, with no ghosts around every corner? I don't know yet. But I do know one thing, I'm not the same girl I was a year ago. I'm still hurting, still healing, but I'm also stronger. More honest. More myself. Maybe that's enough for now. Should I move closer to Mom's side of the family? Or should I cut all ties and start over in a city where no one knows my name, where the past can't follow me? I don't have the answers yet. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I have choices. The future is still uncertain, but it no longer feels like a black hole waiting to swallow me. I'm not okay. Not completely. But I think I might be getting there. For now, I'm just taking it one day at a time. I'm pouring myself into my work, into my volunteering, into the quiet comfort of new hobbies. I'm slowly shaping a life that belongs entirely to me, one that doesn't hinge on anyone's approval, anyone's inheritance, anyone's lies. It's not the life I imagined. It's harder. Smaller. But it's mine. And maybe that's enough. The conversation with Dad stirred up a storm I wasn't ready for. It cracked open memories I'd sealed shut. I've been thinking about Mom constantly, what she'd say, what she'd think. Would she be proud of me for walking away? Or would she wish I'd fought harder to keep the family together? I'll never know, and that uncertainty claws at me late at night when the silence gets too loud. Sleep has been hard to come by again. Every time my phone buzzes, my chest tightens. Is it Dad? News? A confrontation? A resolution? The waiting is its own kind of torture. Then, out of nowhere, Maria sent me a friend request. I didn't accept it. Didn't even hesitate. But it left me rattled. Was she trying to keep tabs on me? Trying to smooth things over and pretend nothing ever happened? I want no part of that fantasy. Not anymore. Let them keep their hollow version of a happy family. I'm done playing that game. Lately, I've been thinking more seriously about the future. Before all of this, I had hazy dreams about grad school, maybe a career path I could be proud of. Now, I still feel stuck in survival mode, just treading water. But seeing Alex head off to college, a kid who's weathered more than most and still found the courage to move forward, sparked something in me. A flicker. Maybe, just maybe, I can get there too. My lease ends next week, and after a lot of back and forth, I made a decision. I'm moving. Not far, just to a better apartment in a quieter part of town. It's a small move, a local one, but it feels like something bigger. Like I'm choosing to move forward. Like I'm no longer waiting around for things to change on their own. As I pack up my old apartment, I can't help but take stock of everything. A year ago, I walked out of that house with a suitcase and a heart in pieces. Now I have a job. Friends. A new apartment. A life I built from the ground up. It's not perfect, and it still hurts sometimes, but it's real. I'm still waiting to hear from Dad. Still wondering what he's uncovered, what he's thinking. The silence stretches out like a question I don't know how to answer. But whatever comes of it, whether he chooses to believe me, to act, or to let things lie, I know I'll survive it. Because I already have. I've survived betrayal, isolation, and the kind of grief that reshapes who you are. And I've kept going. That counts for something. So for now, I'm focusing on this move. On setting up a new space. Making it mine. Creating something steady out of the pieces that are still left. Whatever happens with Dad, with Donna, with Maria, this life is mine. And for today, that has to be enough. It's been about 3 months since my last update, and a lot has happened in that time. I'm not really sure where to begin, but I guess I'll start with the biggest news. After our conversation, where I told Dad everything I'd overheard about Donna and Maria's plans, he took action. He spent weeks investigating. He hired a private investigator, sifted through financial records, and even set up some kind of operation that he still won't tell me the details of. In the end, he uncovered enough evidence to confirm everything I had feared, and then some. It turns out that Donna and Maria had been slowly siphoning money from Dad's accounts for years. The amounts weren't huge, just small withdrawals here and there, nothing that would raise suspicion, but it all added up. They had also been emotionally manipulating Dad to get him to change his will, and that too was documented. When Dad confronted them with all the evidence, all hell broke loose. Donna initially tried to deny everything, but Maria broke down and confessed to it all, even throwing Donna under the bus in the process. It was a mess. To make a long story short, Dad filed for divorce and is pressing charges for the financial fraud. Donna and Maria have moved out, and last I heard, they're staying with Donna's sister in another state. I have mixed feelings about everything. On one hand, I feel vindicated. Everything I feared and overheard turned out to be true. On the other hand, it's hard to see Dad going through this pain. He loved Donna, or at least he thought he did. Finding out it was all a lie has been a crushing blow for him. Dad and I have been talking more since then. He's apologized so many times for not seeing what was going on, for not believing me sooner. I've forgiven him, but things are still a bit strained between us. We're working on it though. We've started having weekly dinners together, just the two of us. It's awkward sometimes, but it's a start. As for me, I'm still in my new apartment. The move was a good decision. It feels like a fresh start, a place that's truly mine with no ties to Donna or Maria. I've been slowly furnishing it, making it feel like home. It's not much, but it's mine, and that means something. Work has been going better than I expected. The layoffs I worried about didn't happen, and I even got a small raise. It's not a lot, but it's enough that I'm not living paycheck to paycheck anymore. I've started saving a little each month. It's not much, but it's progress. Therapy is ongoing, and my therapist says I'm making progress, even if it doesn't always feel like it. The anger and betrayal are still there, but they're not as overwhelming as they once were. I'm learning to live with what happened, to not let it define me. I've been spending more time with my mom's side of the family. Aunt Sarah has been a godsend throughout all of this. She's become a sort of surrogate mother figure, always there with advice or just a listening ear when I need it. I've been visiting her family more often and getting to know my cousins again. It's nice to feel like I have a family again, even if it's not the one I grew up with. Dating is still tricky. I've been on a few dates, but nothing serious. I'm still working on trusting people, still trying to open up again. So, that's the update for now. There's still a lot of uncertainty ahead, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm moving in the right direction. It's a long road, and I know there's more to face, but I'm not alone. I'm stronger now than I was before. I can handle whatever comes next. My therapist tells me that what I'm going through is normal, and that healing isn't something that happens overnight. I'm trying to give myself the patience I need, though it's not always easy. An unexpected development in all of this is that I've started writing. At first, it was just a way to get my thoughts out, like journaling. But now, I'm considering turning it into something bigger, a memoir or maybe a fictionalized version of my story. I'm not entirely sure yet, but writing has become a cathartic release, a space for me to work through everything that's happened. Dad and I had a long conversation last week about the inheritance issue. He set up a trust for me, separate from his personal assets. He says it's his way of making sure I'm taken care of, no matter what. I told him I didn't need it, that I wasn't interested in the money, but he insisted. I think it's his attempt at making amends. He's also been talking about selling the house. Too many memories tied to it, he says. I feel a mix of emotions about it. That house was where I grew up, but I understand why he wants to move on. We've started looking at smaller places together, half joking about becoming roommates. But we both know that space is what we need, not each other's company all the time. The other day, I ran into one of Maria's friends at the grocery store. She gave me this cold stare and muttered something about me ruining Maria's life. For a second, I wanted to yell at her, to set the record straight. But instead, I just turned and walked away. Their opinions don't matter. I know what's true, and that's enough. Work has been a good distraction for me during all of this. I've thrown myself into my job, taking on extra responsibilities. My boss has noticed and hinted at a promotion in the near future. It's a small step, but it feels good to be acknowledged for my hard work. Dad and I are planning a trip together. Nothing extravagant, just a weekend at a lake nearby. It's a place we used to visit when I was a kid, before Mom's illness took over. It feels like a way to build new memories with him, to slowly move past the difficult ones. Lately, I've been thinking about Mom a lot. I miss her more than I ever thought possible. Aunt Sarah gave me a box of Mom's old things last time I visited. Photos, letters, even a few pieces of her jewelry. Going through it was emotional, but also comforting. It's nice to have a few tangible connections to her. I've also been reaching out to some old friends, people I lost touch with when things with Donna and Maria went south. Some have been receptive, others not so much, but it feels good to rebuild that support network. I'm starting to feel like I'm not so alone. The legal battle with Donna and Maria is still ongoing. Dad's lawyer keeps us updated, but I try not to focus on it too much. They'll face consequences for their actions, but I've realized that I can't let their fate control my life anymore. I've been thinking more about the future recently, not just surviving, but actually planning ahead. I'm considering going back to school, maybe for a master's degree. It's a big decision, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm in a place where I can actually make it happen. There are still bad days, but they're becoming fewer. The good days are starting to outnumber the bad ones. I'm not okay yet, but I'm on my way. I'm building a life that's entirely my own, one that's not defined by what Donna and Maria tried to do to me. It's not the life I thought I'd have, but it's mine. And for the first time in ages, I'm genuinely excited to see where the future takes me. To everyone who has followed my journey, offered advice, or simply been there for me, thank you. Your support has meant more to me than I can express. This will be my final update. It's time to close this chapter and start writing the next one. Wish me luck.